Help! Where did you get that gear from?
Rustplus.com, helping you get the skills you want.
So recently a couple of videos came out with from another YouTuber suggesting that their base was unlootable and they had some unlootable trick. I figured I would put out my own little video coming out with something, a little idea. It's not new. It's been done for as long as these things have existed. It's just not many people really either know about them or use them in their base builds, and it does require being near a road, so that is somewhat of a pain in the ass when it comes to doing your base builds, planning them out. You do actually have to seek these things down, but yeah, pretty much this thing is a guaranteed way to actually be unlootable. Now obviously the guaranteed is a very strong word, but in terms of coming through the front door and going straight to your TC, it's not going to happen. So yeah, it's completely impossible to get through the door in this one. No matter what you do, you have to break through the wall. So yeah, this is the impossible base design, and I am joined here with Nitro this time around. Say hello, Nitro.
Oh, hello there.
So let's do a quick little tour. I mean, a tour is almost like completely useless when it comes to this base, but this is just an idea. So obviously with every other little base, you've got a little airlock here where you can go through. Prince Vids totally designed this one. Nobody else has ever discovered this before. It was definitely Prince Vids.
Yep.
Yep. And in here, off to the right there, we've got a box and a research table. And off the side here, a couple of more boxes. Again, you can put doors in here, but it's kind of useless. If you want to put squares there, it might be a lot more useful. Above, we have the three large wooden boxes. And right here, we have our... Okay, you start off with a level 1, but the problem with the level 1 is they are quite hard to get through. It's not necessary, but everyone needs a workbench, so you might as well put it in this spot. But we've got a level 2 workbench here, a single furnace, and a single campfire, plus 2 bags. Now this base is like, I mean, honestly, you could put this base as like a sort of like a run base between rad towns, so you can have your main base elsewhere and then have your run base, so basically going to rad towns and going collecting and scavenging along the road here, or you could use it as your main base. It's all up to you. It is expandable and it is interchangeable. You can change what you need to. Now the big thing that we've got going here, so the idea here is that this thing here is actually part of the terrain. It is one of those electrical boxes that you see on the side of the road. So basically, yes, somebody could break this workbench, but at the end of the day, you can't break anything when it comes to terrain. And this little white power box here is completely unbreakable. So if they get through here, they still can't get to your TC. And if you sheet metal that up, I mean, that's what? That's 8 rockets minimum. And if you honeycomb that with some stone, you're looking at 12 rockets minimum. So, you know, add a double roof up there, again 12 rockets. So yeah, let's go through and build the base. All right, so the first thing you need to do is run along a road and find one of these little power boxes. Depending on what size map you're on, you should be able to find one quite simply. It might take you a good 5-10 minutes, but yeah. Okay, so Nitro is going to go along and help me with this build. In fact, Nitro is going to be building this build for us as I walk us through it. So the first thing you want to do is place down a triangle foundation at the back here. Now you want to place it relatively close to the edge of the power box, but you don't want to be going too far forward. Another thing you need to keep in mind is the elevation of the road. Now, if you do place it right as low as possible on this power box, you might find when going forward, you might not be able to actually place certain foundations going up the road, considering there is a bit of an elevation there. So keep that in mind. So if you do have to go back a bit and then maybe lift up the blue foundation before placing it, just a few millimeters even, you'll find that now we can actually place that triangle foundation. So we'll start with a triangle foundation at the rear, adding a square onto that. and 3 triangles surrounding. You now have your basic star shape. So we can go ahead and stone all of those up. All right, so you want to place your TC down, but you need to make sure you're not too close to the edge of this foundation. Otherwise, you'll have a little bit of a trouble adding in both a door frame and a door. So go down and place that TC just a little bit further back. Now, we need to keep in mind as well that we will be accessing the TC. So if you have a friend who comes in a bit later, they still need to access the TC through the front here. So what we see here is a bit too close to the edge. So if we were to place a code lock on that, we wouldn't actually be able to reach the code lock from the front here. So making sure that when we do place the TC, we do actually, you crouch down and just get it just lined up just a little bit inside the 2 lines of the foundation, just like that. Now, if we come out the front, we do find that we actually have quite a lot of room at the front here to reach down and grab a potential TC. All right, so we'll go ahead and close off the TC. Now, when it comes to adding the sheet metal door to the front here, you might actually find you do actually have to jump up on top of the power box to place it. As you can see here, I am getting a red placement marker through. So jump up, but make sure instead of facing inwards, you do want the door facing outwards. Otherwise, you won't be able to access it to add the TC and change the TC lock and all those things. Cool. So go ahead and add a code lock to both the sheet metal door and the TC. Okay, now that your TC is down, you can go ahead and finish building the rest of your base. So at the back here, we want to start with 2 half walls on both sides, and then a full wall here, a full wall here, a full wall at the left there, and then 2 single door frames. Now we can go ahead and stone all those up. All right, at this point, we can decide what we're actually going to be placing in the base. Now, in our example, we used a research table, a furnace. So in terms of placing the furnace, we need enough room here for a workbench. Now, there is quite a lot of room there, so we could actually go off the side here and, not worry too much about leaving a whole drastic amount of room. But in terms of just making sure we utilize as much space as possible in the base, you do want to place it off to the right as much as possible. But the thing is, we are going to be adding a triangle floor piece here, and if we add our furnace off to the right too much, we won't actually be able to place the furnace at all. So you want to just line that up so just a little bit is showing through the opacity on the furnace there. Of that line on the right about there should be good. And now if you double check that, yes, we can place our floor. And underneath there, if you can fit a small box, great, but generally you probably want to be putting a campfire down. All right, on top of that, we can go ahead and add a large box, and a small box should be able to fit next to it. And we can go ahead and roof off that. Now on the other side, we're pretty much just going to do the same thing, but with just large boxes. So we can add a large box and a small box on the bottom, and then a large box and a small box at the top. Cool, and again, we can roof that off as soon as possible. Now, finally, we want to finish off our main little area. Again, to make getting through to our TC as difficult as possible for any raiders, we can add a level 2 workbench in front of the door. Now, as we can see, a level 2 workbench is 750 health. It takes quite a lot of damage to get through to the door. And by the time that the raiders come through, if they're not exactly intelligent, which we all know Rust players are, they might not even notice the fact that there is a power box here. So they get through this and then, oh look, still can't get through to the door because of a completely indestructible physical item. Cool. All right, so the last thing you want to do is add a couple of sleeping bags. And then add your sheet metal doors. one facing inwards, the other facing outwards to create a airlock that nobody can get through, of course. And finally is our awesome little loot room roof piece that I like to use in my bases. And you might have seen it in my previous solo base. But yeah, so simply add a triangle here and 4 half walls around. We can go ahead and stone those up. Now in this space, we can actually fit 3 large boxes. If you remember from my previous solo base, I actually fit 2 large boxes and 1 small box. But if you've placed everything out as tight as possible, you can actually fit 3 large boxes. And there we have our final box, and we can go ahead and roof that off. And now you have your pretty much unlootable TC base. Raider comes in, they're not getting to it. I'm sorry, but you go ahead and sheet metal all this off, then add some stone honeycomb. I'm sorry, but nobody's wasting 12 rockets to get to a TC of what is essentially a starter base. And yeah, you can use this as a pretty much like guaranteed way to find loot on the side of the roads, go to Oxham's gas station, go to rad towns, and yeah, pretty much use this as a halfway house or use it as your main base, depending on how many people there are and how big you plan on getting. There are alternatives, of course, so if we were to do certain other things to make this base work, like if we were to go out with squares on this part, we could do the old double roof trick and then incorporate the so-called unlootable base as described in other people's videos. And that way you've got 2 roof pieces to get down, and again, you sheet metal this up. That's a significant amount of resources just to get through to your loot. But yeah, that's not the star of the show here. This little awesome little power box is the star of the show. Even if you do get through the workbench and the door, the moment you get through to this TC, that loot's going to drop on the ground. You're not going to be able to get it. Yes, you might have been raided at this point and your shit's gone. But to be honest, dude, at least you can rest easy knowing that raiders aren't getting away with all of your resources. To be honest, what more can you hope for when it comes to raiding in Rust? Alright, so I've been Tom Snow. This is Nitro Panther.
Hello.
Oh, he speaks. He's actually not a mute. I'm not sure if anyone actually realized this by the end of the video, but Nitro Panther is not a mute.
I am not. Oh, you guys the base.
Oh, base exposed, boys. Base exposed. Thank you again, Nitro, for joining me on this little base building exploration. Again, dude, all you need to have a unlootable base is a power box. Anyway, I'm Tom Snow. This is Nitro Panther. If you enjoyed the video, hit that sub, hit that like, leave a comment in the comments below. Where else would you put them?
In the like bar. You should definitely hit like.
Yeah, put the comments in the like bar. That sounds like a really good plan. If you guys figure out how to put the... Hey, you know what? Right click, inspect element. There you go. You can put your comments there. Cool. All right. Again, like, comment, subscribe. I'm Tom Snow. This is Nitro Panther. You're watching Red Dragon Gaming. Peace.
Oh, okay. Goodbye, guys. See you in the next video.